meeting with a Jeevan Sathi.
No, seriously, with projects, we feel like in some small but tangible way, we facilitate a solution to a problem. But with Sangharsh, it's hard to see the impact our voices are having, and it causes us to feel helpless when we don't seem to make any difference on the ground.
It is hard sometimes, but we do hear from our partners about the importance of our support and the difference it makes. For instance, Binayak Singh himself said a few weeks back that one of the main reasons he got bail eventually was the international pressure that groups like us help keep.
But practically speaking, I feel we spread ourselves too thin. And then there is the burden of winning over skeptical fellow aiders. Like one guy came to our CSH and said that Adivasis were an extinct species. And here we were trying to protest for the rights of the Dantewada Adivasis. The amount of energy needed to justify Sangharsh sometimes challenges the action itself.
How to introduce the Sangharsh aspect of aid to new volunteers is also an ongoing challenge. Too often we tend to underplay this aspect for fear of turning off new folks.
Actually, when I joined AID and heard about campaigns, I would feel hesitant to get involved, as challenging government policy was something big in my mind. And sometimes I was unsure. Also, I would often take the safer path and just confine myself to projects, fundraisers, and so on. It's not like I was against the campaign.
I suppose many of us start there, since our lives back in India rarely involved morchas or petitions.
You know, in some ways, Seva Nirman projects versus doing Sangharsh is like the difference between a regular aider and deciding to become a Jeevan Sathi. How about we leave the job of mainstreaming Sangharsh in aid to a Jeevan Sathi? After all, part of their job is to fill in the gaps.
Assuming one still wants to become one after reading all the prerequisites and ongoing reporting.
It's funny, we are asking Jeevan Sathis to plan 5 years ahead. When in aid, we have trouble planning 5 minutes ahead. For example, each Sunday we have to wait till the last minute to figure out whether or not we'll have a quorum. We have to make last minute calls to wake people up and come to the meeting. And this is after people RSVPing that they will come.
This conference, of course, was an exception. I mean, the Seattle folks had planned way back in January where the brown rice to be served for dinner on Sunday. Now that's impressive. I have difficulty telling what cuisine best describes what I cook on a given day. Leave alone where the ingredients are sourced from.
Nice one, Eva. But don't make too many jokes about the JS policy or any policy for that matter. Remember last year we got in trouble when we made fun of the open source policy? These Seattle folks are now forcing me to think about what I eat. I'm already struggling with enough dilemmas. Now there's one more.
What kind of dilemmas are you struggling with?
For example, would I be in violation of some aid policy if I ask another aider out on a date?
Depends on whether you are an EB member.
Judging by the number of 8 couples here, I don't think there is a danger. The more the merrier.
No, you're married to one. You should know you're married to one.
Yes, man, I recommend it. Most of the time.
Why most of the time?
But there is no respite from aid sometimes. It's kind of like, being on aid forum 24 hours a day. Imagine She tells you she hasn't read the newsletter on which you spent 40 hours editing.
And wait till she finds out that the DGP of Chhattisgarh is on your speed dial. But
And when one is having a weak worldly moment now and then, she threatens to report you to Aravinda.
I never thought you had those type of moments.
Yes. Anyways, back to Sangharsh. The point is, things work out sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. But it is most important to stand up for what we believe in.
Standing up for what we believe in also means taking sides, right? We become anti-government or pro-movements. It's all kind of partisan.
Looking at it differently, we just take the side of justice and fairness. We can criticize the government for an action, but simultaneously work with it on pro-poor policy implementation.
Got it. Shades of grey. That's what you will say.
Yeah? Siding with justice cannot be partisan.
But what's the harm in staying neutral?
Neutral is what you think. Have you read the book, You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train?
I only read emails from my boss.
The idea is that by being neutral, you are in a way taking a side.
Whose side?
Status quo's side.
Interesting. Who is this person who wrote this book on trains?
Howard Zinn. Why? Do you want to read it?
I wish. I never have time after my 8-hour workday.
By the way, this 8 hours of working came after long years of struggle.
Looks like we need to revive that struggle. Because my workdays are way longer than that of late.
You just got to keep sweeping.
Speaking of sweeping, I think we also make some sweeping generalizations about the urban middle class, and often we are too pessimistic about them. One issue that we were able to work together on was the Bengan Bharta.
I knew that your coming to aid meetings had a lot to do with whether or not we were going to Punjabi Dhaba after the CSA. But what does Bengan Bharta have to do with Sangharsh?
I mean the BT Brinjal campaign, man. Many in middle class India felt that this was an issue close to them. And thus the pressure that we were able to create helped push the government to not approve the introduction of BT Brinjal in India.
Exactly. And we could start from there and see if we can make a connection to where we source our food from and work on promoting